end of the channel, guys. This is it, the final nail in the coffin. Welcome and welcome back, everybody. It's Tia here, and in today's video, I'll be sharing with you my board game plays from April 2023. Guys, don't panic, it's gonna be okay. I know I only played 84 games this month. Ooh, that's like half of what I played last month or in February. That being said though, I did get to play 72 different games, and 8 of them were new to me, which was really fun. As I was saying at the beginning of the video, relative to other months that have been in the mid-hundreds, this was a pretty slow month for me overall. As you can see here, a bulk of the gaming was done at the very beginning of the month and the very end of the month. So I played Mental Blocks quite a few times, Ubongo 3D. We had a facial reasoning board game day along with Fold It, which is a folding style game. Very fun times. I personally really love speed and dexterity games, anything with spatial reasoning, though I'm not the best at it. So that was a really fun game night here. And then we have Bonanza, which was actually played at both of these bookend events. So the first event that came up here was what we call the big board game day. Games like Bonanza are great because we had almost 30 people here, and we started at noon on Saturday, April 1st, and we went until 7:30 on Sunday, April 2nd. Bonanza was one of these middle of the night games. If you're not familiar with it, it is a classic Uwe Rosenberg game, and you are bean farmers. This game I absolutely love. I think it really holds up over the years, especially if you get into the bean farmer RP. So my friend and I were owners of J&L Bean Co., and it was just a blast. Another new to me game this month was For Northwood, a solo trick-taking game by Will Sue. I will be making a solo party video on this one. It was just released by Side Room Games as a printed version. Before that was a P&P and entered into the BGG solo competition, so you'll be hearing a lot more about this one in a future video for sure. We had a few double plays of some other games as well. So Kites is a game that I had originally played at my FLGS, and I'm not gonna lie, I hated it. I love the idea of timed cooperative games, and the way that it was presented to me was just not it. However, I did get to play it again this past weekend at an event in the Midwest called Gaming Hoopla, and this is a charity board game event. So they don't have a lot of exhibitors or anything like that. There's a huge silent auction, math trades. They have a big play to win section, a huge library, and a raffle. So the entire weekend is really dedicated to just playing games, having fun, coming together as a community for a good cause. And Kites was one of the play to wins. So I actually got to teach it to 2 different groups of people who really loved it. It was super fun. And of all the play to win games, this is the one that I got to bring home with me, so I was very happy about that. We also, at this particular event, got to enter a Showboo tournament just by happenstance. They were about to start as we were about to play a separate game of Showboo. That was really fun. I did play in a Bloodborne card game tournament before. I didn't do super well. During the practice rounds, I did great. During the actual first round, having a difficult time recalling if I did talk about it already, but it's another one of those games that seems super simple, but there's so much depth of strategy, and it's just a classic game that's going to be around for a long time. Plus, the actual natural materials of wood, rope, and stones are just it's such a delight to be able to play this game and like hold it and feel it in your hands. I also got to play Adrenaline for the first time in a really long time at a board game night here, and oh my gosh, what a great game. It is a first-person shooter condensed into a board game, and the adrenaline really lives up to the name. It had been way too long. I posted about it on Instagram because I was so excited. I forgot how much I love this game, and I'm really looking forward to getting the expansion so I can play the DLC content again. I have played it before, but I don't personally own it, so that's something that's now like at the top of my priority list in terms of things I need to get. At this big board game event that I hosted here, we also played Fishbowl. Now, if you're not familiar with Fishbowl, oh boy, let me tell you, it is a team game that you play, or activity, where you have a deck of 40 cards and you are trying to get your team to guess them over the course of 4 rounds. Each round, the cards will stay the same, but you vary the method of giving clues. So in the first round, nobody knows what the cards are, and you're able to do kind of taboo style where you just can't say what's on the card or any of those words. In the next round, everybody knows the cards, but you only get to give them one word as a clue. The third round is silent charades, and then the fourth round, you have to strike a single pose. This is a great activity. You could do it even without like actual game components. And when I first got taught this game, my brain immediately went to, oh my gosh, wouldn't this be hilarious if we played it with Cards Against Humanity cards? So you can just imagine how that goes down, but it is a staple of big board game night, and it is super fun. Highly recommend putting together your own Fishbowl decks with whatever floats your boat. I did at this little convention here also get to play the new Libertalia, Winds of Gale Crest. I was under the impression that the only things that had changed was a different resolution system for tiebreaks and that they added new characters. What I didn't realize is that they added different scoring for all of the loot and that the resolution system for tiebreaks is way different from the original and added a new layer of things called reputation. Along with that, some of the characters were slightly different to reflect that, and I have to say, I wasn't expecting to like this one as much because of the artwork choices, but I didn't expect to be as upset by it as I was. So maybe I'll save that rant for another video, but I was, I guess, glad that I at least got to try it. Question mark? Ooh, at our big board games, we also got to play Monaro, which is a cooperative stacking game. And this one we got to play at about 2 a.m. Which, if you can imagine, we've been going hard for almost 12 hours straight, over 12 hours straight, some of us. And then we're sitting there around a table at 2 a.m. trying to insert these tiny little columns into these very precariously perched structures. Oh, it was such a time, my gosh. The components themselves don't look super great, but when it's all set up, when you have it there in front of you, it's magical. I highly recommend it if you're into the idea of stacking games or cooperative games. Any overlap between those, you have to try it. Architects of the West Kingdom is on Board Game Arena now, for those of y'all who have been keeping up with the news, so that is super fun. Also got to play Monstrosity again at both events as well. Well, I didn't get to play it on April 1st, but I facilitated teaching and running a game of it for 10 individuals, which it was super fun just even getting to watch and not having the stress of the timer when I'm participating. And again, got to play it at this last event, Gaming Hoopla, this past weekend and teach it to some new people, which was really, really fun. This game is another one that kind of came out of the woodwork. I played it for the first time in February at Polar Vortex, another local gaming convention. Usually I'm pretty competitive, even in luck-based games where your input doesn't really matter, but this is one game that I'm just glad to be along for the ride, no matter how many or how few points I get. In fact, it's sometimes almost even funnier if you get fewer points because that means your drawing is just that much more ridiculous. So this is a really cool one if you haven't checked it out and you're looking for a fun party game. Oh, this is A+. Again, you're probably seeing a lot of social deduction games like cockroach poker or coup or bluffing games or social deduction, right? Those two. And the reason why, again, are these big events. It's been really nice to be able to kind of delve into those. Ooh, and we have the Great Split, which I got to try. A friend of a friend brought it to Big Board Games here, and y'all know I love Horrible Guilds. This game is a beautiful production. I like the idea of how the drafting works, but I just don't necessarily see there being too much replayability, unfortunately. And because of the gorgeous production and the price point, I don't necessarily think this is one that I'll be adding into my collection. And finishing up here, we have just some pretty straight run-of-the-mill games. Praise is a super cool game from Jordan Draper. It's a game about giving compliments, and basically you have one person who's the cool guy each round, so they get a super cool standee, and everybody else has to go around and they have to give them an honest compliment or they have to lie using a prompt. And it sounds like it would be a super whatever kind of, oh, that doesn't sound very interesting. But the way the game plays out, you actually have different modes of how you deliver your compliment. So you might have to say it excitedly or creepily or while maintaining eye contact. And so it leads to some really fun, interesting situations as well, where you're trying to bluff and give an honest compliment based on specific criteria, or give a compliment that's real, but that sounds like it could be a lie. It's just a really fun, very social game. Another new game that I did get to play and that I actually won in the silent auction at Gaming was 9 Lives. This is a trick-taking game, and my goodness, I keep thinking there's no way that I can have this many trick-taking games and still find new ones that are exciting and surprising that change the mechanics enough. But 9 Lives absolutely does that. So you make bids using cats of whether you're going to win an exact number of tricks or a range of tricks. And the cool thing about this one is that if you win a trick, you actually get to take one of the other cards from the trick into your hand, and you play until one person has no cards left. So the length of round could go very fast or very slow, depending on how that all plays out. Even just that idea of you get to take a card back, everybody knows what it is, strategically what's been played, what should you take, do you want to win another trick, do you want to lose the trick, is wow. And I mean, the art for this game as well, I'm not gonna lie, is absolutely gorgeous. It's such a unique and provocative aesthetic that, ooh, love it. We have Ghosts of Christmas, which is another trick-taking game from Board Game Tables. Was really glad to be able to play this one again. The main thing that you change up here is that you can play cards to the past, present, or future, and with the little mini expansion, the Beyond. Now, the interesting thing is you can play to any point in time whenever you want. And so one person might lead a trick starting in the past, and they might play a blue card. But if you're playing in the future, nobody's played a card in the future yet. You can decide the leading trick. So this one I absolutely love. The scoring is really swingy, but the puzzle of figuring it all out is super satisfying. Very highly recommend this one as well if you're looking for cool trick-taking games. I also had my first play of Crocodile at Gaming Hoopla. At first I was like, oh, dumb. And then upon playing it, I can see why so many people love this game. Oh, just the boards and the components and the little puzzles. I lost terribly, but I really feel like it's a game that I could see myself playing a lot and just getting really, really skilled at, or setting up like solo trick shots for. So yeah, if y'all have any recommendations for where I can get a dope Crocodile board that doesn't cost me a small fortune, let me know, because ooh, that was super fun. I also won a copy of Hey Yo, which is an Oink game in the silent auction. This is a game that I was very on the fence about for a really long time. You were working cooperatively or in teams to play cards in order to form sequences of either hey, yo, ah, or yeah. And it's a music game, so you actually get a little speaker that you press and it plays music, and on certain beats you have to play a card, and you have to try to keep the chains going and have them end in a punchline. Whoa, so fun. We also made a house rule that anytime you play a card, you have to say what's on it. So when you play, you're like, yeah, yeah. Which I'm sure was obnoxious for everyone around us, but I had a great time, so, you know, whatever. And down here, we just have some other kind of standard run-of-the-mill games. Broken and Beautiful, a game about kintsugi, was one of the prettiest games I've ever seen. It was in the Play to Win. I didn't win it, but it's definitely one that I'm going to keep an eye out, although I think it might probably be pretty hard to find. I had never heard about it before, and I think this will complete my collection of board games about kintsugi, because I also have kintsugi. If you know any games about kintsugi, it's now a hobby career goal of mine to own every game revolving around this theme. I also got a copy of Contour for super cheap, which is a drawing game, but unlike other drawing games, you can only use 15 lines, and lines have to be straight to get your point across. And it's timed, of course. So this was a super cute one if you're into drawing games as well. And Yumek always has beautiful packaging for their games with their tins. They also did Panic Lab, if you're familiar with that game. And to round things out here, I had my first play of Happy Salmon, which is a party game where you are pulling up cards and trying to match up with other people. You might have to high five, or you might have to switch spots with somebody, or you might have to Happy Salmon with them, and the goal is to get through your cards as quickly as possible by matching them with people. This was a really fun one. When we first played, we were told, yeah, okay, so you can do it where you shout out what you have, or we can play a silent version. And I looked around the room and thought, oh, there's no way this group is gonna be silent. I think we really pissed off the other table that was next to us who was playing Ethnos because we were being so loud. But it was super funny because once we finished and they finished Ethnos, they said, yeah, let's try that Happy Salmon game. And it turns out they played it 4 times back to back. They thought it was so fun. So this was a really cool one that I was glad that I got to try out. It was a new acquisition of mine, and I kind of bought it in anticipation of hosting this big board game day, and it was a smashing success. So job well done me. So there you have it. Those were my board game plays for the month of April. As always, let me know down below which of these games you would be most interested in trying, or if you see any favorites, go ahead and shout them out. I would love to hear what y'all have been up to and what you've been playing. Thanks so much for joining me as always, and I'll see you next time. Bye.